Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I will show you all the new tier sets for all the classes in Midnight. So remember, a few of them might change from what you're seeing now compared to what it will be when they will be released. But normally, this is pretty much what you will be able to get when Midnight will be released. So let's start with the Death Knight. The Death Knight is pretty nice. I think it looks a lot like, for instance, a Nazgul set. And I love all the details, for instance, on the shoulders, on also the chest and everything. There's definitely some good pieces that have been added with this set. Now there's also a few things that I think are not that great. For instance, the chest, you have like some parts that are a little bit too low res and also just 3D printed. So I think that's something that they need to improve. Same, I hope there is also a version without the robe. Because even though the robe is pretty nice, I do think a lot of players won't really like having a robe for a Death Knight. And so I'm hoping there's gonna have something that will allow you to not have the robe. But other than that, I think this is overall a pretty good set. And especially, I'm a big fan of the helm and also the shoulders. So first we have this red version, then we have the wintry version, which is purple and blue. Then we have this other one, which I think is my favorite one. I love the colors on this set. It reminds me a lot of some of the colors from Shadowlands. And I do think this is a really, really good set. Then we also have the purple and gold one. Here again, I love the cloak as well. It reminds me of the one from that really cool set priest from Dragonflight. And I think it's pretty nice. Then we have this other one, which is really the same color as all the different Mo armors from Shadowlands. And again, something that we don't really have a lot in games, so pretty nice to have this as a color as well. So these are the different Death Knight sets. Then let's move on to the Demon Hunter. So the Demon Hunter, I think, is an okay set. Personally, I think this looks more like a plate set than anything else. And also, I'm still not sure why they decide to add so many horns when Demon Hunters already have horns. But over than that, there's a few pieces that are interesting. For instance, I like the shoulders. I also like the colors on this set. There's quite a lot of like vibrant colors that are pretty nice. And yeah, I'm sure there's a few pieces that players will be able to use with other sets that will work well. And I'm also sure that some of you will actually really enjoy this set. I just feel like it's not one of the strongest compared to some of these other sets we're going to be able to get in Midnight. Then after that, we have the Druid set. So here, this is very similar. I feel like there's some pretty good things happening with this set, but it's not like one of the best. One of the comments that I have is that I think this bulb, or at least I'm hoping it will have some animations where basically it will like just, have something spawn out of it, because right now it's just like a little bulb. And so it doesn't look like threatening or anything like that. So I'm hoping that there's something that will happen with it. If that's the case, it will really redeem the set in my opinion. Otherwise, it's an okay set. The one thing though that I really like about this set is the fact that it has really bright colors. So for instance, here again, you have like the yellow one, then you have this wintry blue one, then you have the really nice red version. Then you also have this over full version right here. Then you have the nature version, which I think looks really cool. And finally, you have this over blue version. So personally, I do like the fact that these are really vibrant in terms of the colors. And I think some of them, such as this one, really represents the Druids pretty well. So overall, this is an okay set. Then after that, we have the Evoker. So here, I see what they wanted to do. I think especially when you look at this one, it's already a little better. I do like the fact that they tried to add like, the different gems and everything on the set. But the helm, for instance, I think is very disappointing. It's too small. There's nothing happening. It's also really disconnected from the shoulders, which give like this weird spacing when there's nothing happening. And then there's just like a few things that I'm not a big fan of. The fact that you have like this random, for instance, piece of gear here, which I don't think should be there. And the shoulders in itself are a good concept, but I just don't think they're that great. So yeah, overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this set. I think this color right here is pretty good, but for instance, some of the other ones are not as great. But again, this is maybe something that some of you will enjoy. This one is also pretty nice because it has different colors on both shoulders, which I think is a pretty nice concept. And yeah, this is also the other one right here. So personally, the Evoker is not my favorite one. And you also have this one, which again, I think is a little bit nicer because of the fact that the colors are all mixed up on the shoulders. Then after that, we have the hunter set. And I know many of you have been waiting to see if it was going to be a big fail or not. And I think it's not as bad as many other transmog sets from hunters were in the past. So here, first of all, the thing that I really like is the cloak. I think the cloak looks really cool. I do like also all the details. I mean, for instance, this belt has a lot happening. I do think we've seen these shoulders and this helm quite a lot of times already. Same with the gloves, but still, overall, this is another okay set. Nothing crazy here, but for hunters, this is probably a really good set because hunters normally really have bad sets. Again, I know some of you might probably say that this is something that will be only good for like Arniers and this type of races, but I think it's something that will work on any characters because again, you're supposed to be a hunter and this expansion is all about hunting this type of demonic creatures. So I think overall the theme of the set works pretty well for a hunter. Then we have the red version right here. Then we have this over purple version. Then we have the green version, which is pretty nice as well. Then we have this over version. This is the colors a little bit from Dragonfly that I like. And then we have this over version right here. The one thing I have to say that I'm not sure why is the fact that we have almost like 3 red sets. And even though this one is maybe a little more orangey, it's still very close to this one. So just not really sure why we had to have so many that are very, very similar. But again, this is not as bad as I thought it would be. Now, let's move on to the Mage set. And here, this is a really, really nice set. So first of all, I love the shoulders. I think the effect on the shoulders, the orb and everything are really cool. This is, of course, a little bit similar to the set that we got, the tier 2 set from the classic expansion, but this is still a really nice remodeled version. And I do really like these different shoulders and also the rest of the set. So then you have different versions. This one is not my favorite one. This one is already a little bit better with the purple. Then you also have this other one, which is nice as well. This one maybe lacks a little bit colors, I would say, in my opinion. And then you have my favorite one, which is the medieval one, basically. And I think this one is by far one of the best sets we're going to be able to get from all these different tier sets in Midnight. So this color for me is really the one that saves this set and make it a really, really good set. So as you can see, this is the again, medieval one. And then I actually forgot the blue one, which again, I think is pretty nice as well, but not as different in my opinion than, for instance, this one. So again, I feel like with the colors compared to the Druid set here, they didn't do a really good job. Only with this one, the rest could have been way better. Like for instance, like a fiery one for fire mages would have been nice. Maybe something else, I don't know. Then let's move on to the monk set. So here for monk, we have something pretty different that what we're used to have. So I do really like the shoulders. I think it's very interesting. I do think the helm is pretty cool as well. Maybe the rest of the set is a little too simple, but also it might be unfinished because as you can see, there's really not much happening. But at the same time, they're supposed to be monks, so you're supposed to not have a lot of gear on you. This one is probably my favorite one with the Yulon colors, which I think are really nice. And then you also have the purple one. So personally, I think these are really, really cool sets. Again, I want to see if really that's how the gloves and everything will look, or if there is maybe a few more things that will also be added to the set. But overall, the shoulders, especially and the helm, I think are nice. And yeah, that's an interesting set for monk. Then after that, we have the paladins. So here I've already said I think the Paladin one looks really nice. I especially love the fact that you have the face on one shoulder and the other one you don't have anything. I also really like the cracks on the shoulder. So just to show you, my favorite version is this one. You can really see the cracks. I think it looks really nice. And of course, this color works super well. This is the same as the remastered recolored tier 2 set. So then you have also the blue version, which I think looks pretty nice. You have this purple and gold version, which again, I think here the colors really work well. Then you have this other one, same, a big fan of the colors. And then this other one. So personally, I think this is a really good set. I really like all the details on it. And yeah, I think Paladins are pretty lucky with this tier again. Then after that, we have the preset. This is another amazing set that we're going to be able to get. So here, what I love, of course, is the shoulders. I think this little vehicle with the sword and everything looks really good. And overall, all the details on the robe and on the rest of the set is great. I know a few of you said it's a little bit too similar to what we got recently through the shop for the helm, but that's only the helm and it's still something that looks a little bit different. For me, this version is probably the best, the purple and white gold version. I think this is absolutely beautiful. I'll definitely try to get that on my priest. And then we also have the red version, which is really nice as well. We have the gold version. This is another banger in my opinion. Then we have this one, which is really not my favorite one. I think here the colors are not great. And then we have this one, which again, I really like. I just wish maybe the blue on the robe would be a little bit more similar to the blue here, because this one is not as bright. So maybe a brighter blue would have been better on the robe, but still amazing set overall. Then let's move on to the rogue. So here, if you enjoy doing quests and you enjoy quest rewards, you will enjoy this set because this is basically a quest reward set. I know I'm being a little bit harsh, and I know some of you said that this is something that is actually pretty good for a rogue because rogues are supposed to not have very big armors and they're supposed to be sneaky and everything. But that's also a video game, so in reality, it doesn't really matter. All I see here is really something that no one will remember in 2 months from now, and something that is really not that great. So maybe there are a few things that they will do to improve, but even the colors, I'm sorry, the shoulders, they don't even match the color of the helm. There is just these that match. I don't know. For me, like this is overall a big mess, and I'm just not a big fan of this set at all. And also here again, all the colors, maybe the purple one is nice, but all of them are not that bright. There is nothing crazy happening. And my final comment on this set is that it looks very similar to a lot of the different sets we've already had before, even the ones from the War Within. So maybe a little bit too early to do something so similar to the previous sets, and especially something that looks that bad. Okay, now let's move on to the Shaman set. So here it's already better. It does again look a little bit similar to some of the previous Shaman sets, but it's still different and it's still pretty nice in my opinion. I do again love the fact that we have these brighter colors on this one. And overall, I do love the orbs. I think the orbs are super cool. And yeah, I think this is a pretty good set. My only comment is that I wish maybe there were a few more things happening at the bottom of the set, because here most of it is at the top, but then the bottom there's not much. Maybe with the version without the robe, there will have more things on the legs and on the boots. I'm hoping for that, but other than that, this is a nice set. My only complaint is just that everything is happening at the top and nothing is happening at the bottom. But yeah, you have some nice colors, and overall for Shamans, I think this is definitely going to be something nice to get. Then after that, we have the Warlock. So here again, Warlocks, they are eating well. This is a really nice set. This is a little bit similar to what we're going to get in Legion Remix, but mainly just because of the colors, because of this version right here, and also this other version right here. But other than that, this is still something very different. I love the fact that basically you have a broken Inferno on your shoulders and on your helm. I also like the fact that they reused the Donnie Darko helm from Shadowlands and made it like really cool for this set. And overall, I think the colors on the set also work really well. So maybe this one is the only one that for me is a little bit of a mess, but the rest I think is great. So again, I think Warlocks are pretty lucky. As usual, they're getting a pretty nice set, and yeah, I think this is definitely something that a lot of you will be happy with. And finally, we have the Warrior. So here, if you enjoy Tusks, then you're gonna love this set because this is basically just Tusks. So as you can see, you have this enormous mammoth tusk on your shoulders and on your helm. So overall, this is not the worst set ever, especially during the War Within. We didn't really get any good sets, I would say, for Warriors. But still, this is something that is maybe a little bit too massive, I know, for some of you. Personally, I do enjoy some of them. I especially think this version right here and the red version are the best. But yeah, that's my opinion. So let me know what you think about this one, because I know this one is really something either you hate or you love. There's not really an in-between with this Warrior set from all the comments I've seen so far. So these are all the new sets you will be able to get. Again, maybe a few changes will be done to some of these sets, but it seems like they're pretty final. And so most likely that's what you will be able to get. So let me know in the comments which one you think is the best, and especially which one you're maybe like really surprised about or maybe a little bit disappointed by. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime I wish you all a great day. Bye!